Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome to this little tutorial on painting forget-me-nots. So I've got my reference here, and if you're on my Patreon channel, which you can join for as little as $10 a month and get access to these fun little tutorials. I have lots of them there. I also have a tier at $29 where you get full-length video lessons where you get to paint all kinds of birds and landscapes, and like they're more of a in-depth painting. These are more just quick studies. People just starting out, I try to keep it short because I tend to try to simplify but then overcomplicate. So if I stick to something like this, then it'll be a shorter lesson and one that you can just kind of do, and it won't take you all day to do. So I'm doing some acrylic videos. I do the same technique almost exactly as I do in oil. So I want, my oil students to know they can paint along with all the colors I've got out here in oil too. So I'm using golden paint. I've got a white, quinacridone red, cad yellow medium, some cobalt. This is some transparent brown oxide. And some people have trouble finding this color, but you can get this on Amazon or, Blick art stores, Jerry's, and probably Michael's. And I've tried to keep it really simple. This is a Viridian, so that, for those of you who are just starting out, you pretty much have your primary colors here to work with. And yeah, so I'm going to start off like I do with my oil paints, just by doing sort of a wash. Now, I've got my reference photo also on my iPad in front of me. So I'm just going to do sort of a nice kind of grade wash. Now, normally I would use, I have out more colors, but I'm just going to use some of this cobalt blue and some of this brown oxide. And you notice there's a bit of water. This is one of those stay wet palettes. So I have a sponge underneath, and then this keeps the paint. And I always give it a little spritz of water too, just to keep it from drying out. So I'm just gonna do a little wash to gray down that background. You can add a little bit of green. So I'm gonna add a little Viridian in there and some of that brown oxide and some blue. And I'm just gonna get that background kind of blocked in. And I'm just using water. So once you have enough paint on there, you can just wipe it away a bit. And I'm using, sorry I didn't mention this, you can use any canvas or surface you want. This is the canvas pad from Michael's. Very inexpensive, and I highly recommend this to people who are starting out painting, because that way you don't have the pressure of, oh, I've got a canvas. I don't want to, muck up a whole canvas. It's like you can just throw it away afterwards. You don't have to worry that you messed up or something. So I want to first of all block in that little stem, just sort of so I know I want to have that little angle that there is there. It just sets the stage for the flowers. And so I think the flowers, I want to kind of see those three. There's two major players here, and then you've got sort of bits and pieces of those other ones. So I'm looking at my reference, but I'm not going by it strictly. It's just sort of, my branch, for example, is on a little bit more of an angle, because I think that adds a little bit more drama to the thing, the composition, the thing. So I'm putting in some of those there's some dark, you can't really see them because they're so dark, little buds or something. And then the light hits those flowers. So now I'm going to block in the blue. So I'm going to get that cobalt blue, and I'm going to, when I block in, I want to make sure you're looking at these shapes. So it's sort of almost like a triangle, this overall shape. And then you've got this flower here, these sort of focal points, and then you've got all these flowers. You can't really tell what's going on. So I'm going to start with the one that's closest here. So I'm just going to make those brush strokes really simple. So I'm looking at this petal here, and I'm putting that brush stroke in. Then I'll look at the next petal and put that petal in. So I'm going to, you can start from the middle and pull out. So, and then leave that edge as your basic petal shape. And then you can pull out another one. And this is a number 4 Princeton Summit brush, which I think I got it at Dick Blick Art Supplies, or I think it's just called Blick. So, and then I'm pulling down. So that finishes all 5 petals with 1 brush stroke each. Then I'm going to go to the other one, and I'm going to put in the same strokes, only this one's kind of, behind this one. So I'll put that in like that. 1 more here. And see, you'll notice I'm looking at the shape of the petal when I put that brush stroke in there. So I'm pulling that in. And then there's a bit of one showing down here. And they don't need to be perfect. That's the thing. It's a painting. So it kind of looks nice. I'll zoom in so you can see, just to have those loose brush strokes. And we're trying to take it easy here. We're not going for, I'm not painting hyperrealism. And then you've got these ones in the background that are just kind of there, don't really know what they're doing. They're just, you could just put in a few strokes. See, I'm looking at the edge here, and there's some strokes kind of coming out here and there. So just kind of, again, you're giving an impression of those ones behind. So now you've got kind of the basic formula. You've got all the different flowers. And that was just pure cobalt blue, and it's golden brand. And that's all I used, just some of that cobalt blue. And if you were following along in oil, you can copy everything so far that I've done. And then I'm going to put some of that, there's a bit of white and yellow in the center. So I'll put some of that white. So I'm going to get a little dab of that white on my brush. And you'll notice I'm going to be more accurate with my brush strokes. So I'm not just going to go to the canvas with a big blob of white at the end. Otherwise, it will muck it all up. So I'm making sure how I'm putting my brush down. I'm flattening it out. And so now my brush has lots of paint, but it's not all blobby. So just taking a little bit of care about how I do these little details. So I'm going to put some of those strokes in, and if they blend into the blue, don't worry, because that, that looks kind of natural. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that, around here. In between those petals, there's these little bits of white. And again, don't worry about it being perfect, because we're getting all the details, but we're getting them down very loosely, and, we're not worrying too hard about it being perfect. Okay, so it looks like my yellow paint's a little bit stiff because it's been sitting here, but I got underneath and it's kind of soft. So now I'll go back, and I'm going to use the corner of my brush. That way I can control the detail. And that's what I like about using flat brushes, is you've got the ability to go big or go into some more detail. And then I'm going to put this around here like that. And you could take a little tiny dab of that brown oxide and, whoops, there's some water on my brush. If you get a blob of water, just you can absorb it with your paper towel. And put a little bit of that brown oxide in the center. And now you've got the centers. And just trying to keep it simple and keep it fun here. So the next thing I'm going to do is get a bit of highlight on the blue. So I've got my puddle of blue here. And I'm going to get some white and mix a little bit of white in there for the highlight. And I'll go back and look at where, so this one here has a bit of a highlight. And I'll just add a bit of that light blue to the tips there. And this one here. And you can just add a little bit of that light blue here and there, just to show some of the details. And then in here, I'm going to put some of that light blue in those flowers that you can't really see what they're doing, but they're there. And work that in like that. Okay. And then I might go back and, I'll mix up some brown oxide, maybe some of this Viridian just to darken it. And get a little bit of that branch there, just a little darker, because you can't really see it in the photo. So you just kind of darken that a little. And so that's kind of it for how you would go about painting a little cluster of flowers like that. You could just keep it as a little simple study like that, or you could. I did a video on how to paint a bumblebee. You could just add that to it, but these little studies are just, I think, fun to do and kind of gets you painting, and you might just get an idea for a bigger, more challenging project once you get going on something like this. So I hope for all of you beginners out there that this wasn't too hard to do. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So thanks a lot for watching.